Please don't skip ahead yet. Hi, this is your friendly neighborhood 80 slasher librarian, JnBLaRue. Just need a moment of your time. A lot of people don't know, but we're not able to monetize the channel here on YouTube due to the fact that the copyright holders of the books I narrate, the movies we riff, they get the ad revenue, and also being a partner on YouTube involves a lot of rules and censorship, and to do so would make it where a lot of the content, the audiobooks, the riffs, would have to be heavily censored or deleted completely. So we depend on amazing slashaholics like you to help fund the channel and keep it going and growing for years to come. And there's several fun ways to do that. You could join our Patreon right up there, and as a patron, you can join for as low as like $2, $5, $10 a month, on up as high as you want, and enjoy a lot of cool gifts like free ebooks, early access, exclusive content, even voicing characters and audiobooks here on the channel. You could also go to our PayPal and use the QR code right there, and you can donate directly to the channel. We see all donations and we appreciate all of them. If you don't want to use the QR code or don't know how, you can use our PayPal email address, which will be in the description below and the pinned comment, as well as our Cash App donation username. And a fun way to help the channel is through our Cameo, right down there. On Cameo, you can ask for a birthday video, anniversary video. You can ask us to sing a song or something, or ask us questions, and you can get a video from me, Alex, Shawn, Master Evil, Mother Evil, the Rodeo Clown, any character from any show on the channel, or any character that I've voiced in the audiobooks. It's a fun way to help the channel. It's only $10 a video, and we'll have a lot of fun doing that. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed tonight's content. Be excellent to each other. Please consider helping the channel. And always remember, the sun never sets on those who ride into it. Thank you. Child's Play, a novelization of the film by Jeremy Terry. Chapter 8. Field Trip. Morning comes. The sun rises as inevitable as the coming of spring, offering the chance for new beginnings. For Karen, it offered the chance to help Andy begin to forget the events of the previous night. There was too much weight, far more than a child his age should ever have to carry. It was time for him to be a kid again, carefree and happy. She pulled her car in line behind the other parents who were dropping their kids off at Sunnyside Elementary School and waited her turn. Andy sat beside her in the passenger seat, adorable in his silver and red snow pants and jacket. There was a red football on the back of the coat and a white puffball on the top of his red and yellow striped beanie hat. He stared out the frosted window like he didn't have a care in the world, clutching Chucky to his side. Karen looked past him to the line of children entering the school and saw several of them carrying identical dolls in their arms. "Are you sure you're all right?" she asked as she reached over to straighten his collar. "No bad dreams last night about Aunt Maggie?" Andy shook his head. "Good. And Chucky is only a doll, right?"
"Right."
It was their turn in line. Karen reached over to open his door and gave him a quick kiss on the cheek. "Off to school with you then. Have a great day." Andy jumped out and waddled towards the front door of the school with Chucky on his hip. Karen watched him walk inside and then drove away. Andy watched her go and then walked back outside into the chilly morning air. He turned left and headed quickly up the sidewalk in the opposite direction. School wasn't on the agenda today. He reached the corner and took another left. He came to the train station 3 blocks further down and climbed the stairs to the elevated platform where the ticket taker punched his ticket without a second glance. She didn't get paid enough to care. The train arrived 5 minutes later and Andy boarded, drawing interested looks from a few of the other passengers. He took a seat by himself, holding Chucky on his lap. 2 minutes later, they were on their way. Andy sat quietly looking out the window as the city of Chicago passed by outside. Apartment buildings and high-rise towers gave way to gentrified old neighborhoods, which in turn gave way to more seedier environs. Andy felt Chucky squeeze his hand and leaned over so Chucky could whisper in his ear that they were getting close. Andy sat back up and looked out over the sprawling acreage flashing by. Trash littered the streets down there, piled up in snow-covered drifts against brown apartment complexes that had been defaced by graffiti. One particular painting caught his eye. Not gang tags, but an actual mural that depicted a black man's distorted face and hands. Pieces of candy lay on the open palms above the cryptic message, "Sweets to the sweet."
Chucky,
Andy said, holding the doll up to his ear.
what does that painting mean?
"Never you mind," said Chucky. "That's bad medicine."
Bad medicine? Like the nasty tasting cough syrup Mommy makes me take when I'm sick?
Chucky chuckled low. "Not quite. That painting's about a scary old story the people who live in that neighborhood pass around. Don't worry your little head about it. You just focus on getting us to the right place, okay?"
Okay.
Andy replied as the train began to slow. An announcement came over the intercom stating that the next stop was the Cabrini Green station. Chucky squeezed Andy's hand again. It was time to get off. Drug dealers, pimps, and prostitutes watched the little boy and his doll pass along the streets beneath the train tracks. None moved to harass him. He had nothing of value. Andy turned right and walked 2 blocks down where the street dead-ended at a rusted chain-link fence. Mountains of stinking garbage rose up on the other side, surrounded by clouds of white dump birds. A large bulldozer droned somewhere nearby. The loose panel was right where Chucky told him it was. Andy pulled the stiff metal aside with a grunt and stepped through the opening. He saw a worn trail through the litter ahead and followed it around large piles of refuse, finally coming out the other side to see a derelict 2-story house on the far edge of the dump. Most of the windows were shattered and half of the shingles were missing from the sagging roof. Andy stopped to glance down at Chucky and ask,
Is this Eddie's?
Chucky didn't answer. Andy looked around and saw a patch of reeds growing taller than him and suddenly felt the urge to pee. He sat Chucky down on an old high-backed chair. "You wait here, I have to tinkle." Chucky watched him go, waiting for him to disappear into the undergrowth, and then he leapt down the chair and sprinted across the snowy ground towards the dilapidated house. Rats everywhere. They crawled over counters and floors, in the sink full of dirty dishes, alive with a squirming carpet of maggots. Chucky let the back door slam shut behind him, not bothering to be quiet, and eyed the mess. The place had really gone downhill since the last time he'd been there. How the hell did I ever end up partnered with scum like this? He thought as he punted a curious rodent across the kitchen. It struck the far wall with an audible thud and limped away on broken legs. Its friends watched it go hungrily. Chucky hoped they would cannibalize it. That would be fun to watch. "This is incredible. Look how strong and how fast I am. I was never so fast in my old body. I can run forever and never grow tired or run out of breath." Speaking of which, there was someone in the house that needed to stop breathing very soon. Chucky crossed the room to the old stove and blew out the pilot light. Then he twisted the dials. He heard a hiss and smelled the unpleasant scent of gas and smiled. Andy was finished making yellow snow. He pulled his pants back up and made his meandering way back through the overgrown reeds, whistling the Playpals theme song as he went. He came out and froze. The chair was empty. Chucky was gone. Andy looked around, fear filling his mind. He thought back to the neighborhood outside the dump, remembered the curious looks from the people he had passed. What if one of them had followed them and took Chucky?
Chucky!
He shouted.
Where are you?
Eddie Caputo jerked awake, unsure of where he was, still in the grip of the dream. He'd been sitting in the corner of a dark room watching Charles working his special kind of magic on a teenage girl. She was naked as the day she was born, her body covered in complex runes drawn in chicken blood. Andy had been waiting for his turn to work his own magic on the girl before Charles came back to finish her off. It had been a pleasant dream. Eddie sat up and reached for the half-empty brown bottle of popsicle resting on the floor by the mattress. Running his dry tongue over his desiccated lips, he unscrewed the top, lifted the whiskey, and stopped when he heard a raised voice outside. What the fuck? He dropped the bottle to the floor and pulled a huge 5-shot .44 Magnum revolver from under his threadbare pillow. He stood, checking the cylinder to make sure the gun was loaded, and then walked out onto the landing. Wind susurrated through the house from a dozen broken windows and holes. Boards creaked as the house shifted. Everything seemed to be in motion, making it almost impossible to pinpoint the sound of an intruder. Eddie thumbed the revolver's hammer back and started down the stairs. Hello, Eddie. Eddie froze, his heart in his throat. He knew that voice. Hadn't he just heard it cackling over a dying girl in his dream only minutes before? But that was impossible. He'd heard the bastard cops bragging about it the night he was arrested. Charles Lee Ray was dead. He took another step and peered over the splintered banister into the shadowed foyer below and saw nothing. Chucky? He breathed, arming nervous sweat from his furrowed brow. Is that you? Who else would it be? After all, this is our hideout, isn't it? Where had that come from? He should be able to tell, but the voice seemed to be moving through walls and floorboards. Hell, why not? If Charles was truly dead, then this must be his ghost, and ghosts certainly could pass through walls. Sure it is. I was just surprised to hear your voice, man. I thought you got off by the pigs. Nah, Chucky said, laughing that mad laugh of his. I wouldn't go and do that. Not and leave you alive anyway. Fear and dread gripped Eddie. He squeezed the gun's handle tighter and inched further down the creaking stair. What are you talking about, Chucky? A door groaned open towards the rear of the house. Did he hear footsteps along the bare wooden floor? You left me, Eddie. You chickened out and left me behind. Do you really think I'm gonna let you live after something like that? Eddie reached the bottom step and swept the foyer with his magnum. Something fell over in the room to the right of the front door. He charged in, saw an old rocking chair turned over on its side. Not in there, Eddie. Chucky called from somewhere near the back of the house. I'm in here, you asshole. Eddie charged past the fallen chair and through an open doorway into what was once the living room. He glanced around, breathing hard, looking for any sign of his old partner behind the sagging couch and moth-ridden armchair. He heard a voice to his left and spun to see a young boy walking around outside the house. He was dressed in gray and red snow pants and jacket. Eddie tracked him with the gun, the sights hovering over the boy's chest.
Chucky!
Called the little boy.
Where are you? Chucky!
Forget the kid, Eddie. It's me you want. Come on, you better get me before I get you. Eddie turned and stared at the closed door to the kitchen. He was sure Chucky's voice had come from there. He had him now. He moved forward, put his free hand on the doorknob. It turned easily in his grasp. "I got you now!" he screamed, throwing the door open and firing wildly into the space. His first bullet struck a spark off the metal stove. There was a huge whomp, and the last thing Eddie Caputo felt was the concussion wave as the gas ignited and the house exploded around him.
Okay, Slashaholics, this has been Chapter 8 of Child's Play by Jeremy Terry. I apologize for the short upload, and I also apologize that it took so long to release. My microphone that I've had for quite a while now, a Blue Snowball, started malfunctioning about a week and a half ago. It was cutting in and out when I tried to do anything for the channel, and I tried narrating with my webcam camera while I was waiting on this new microphone to come in. Just didn't work. But everything should be good to go now, and I want to thank Shawn Campbell, a longtime friend and co-host of shows here on the channel. He donated this microphone to the channel. It is amazing. I hope you all enjoy the clarity of it. I hope it sounds great. I really enjoyed Chapter 8 tonight, and I'm really looking forward to finishing this book. Jeremy Terry is doing a fantastic job bringing the Child's Play movie to life as a novelization. Throwing in little horror movie cameos here and there, a little Stephen King reference, a little Candyman reference. Great stuff. He's really writing Chucky well. And he actually finally finished the entire novelization. The entire thing will be available in ebook form on the Patreon later tonight, just for patrons. And if you do actually join the Patreon and read it, Jeremy asked that you wait until the audiobook's complete before sharing it off of the Patreon. But if you're curious and want to read the ebook before I finish narrating it, you can find it on the Patreon page right now, actually. So you can join for as low as $1 to $2 to $5 a month. The ebook tier begins at the $5 tier. Let me know what you all thought of tonight's chapter, if you're enjoying this book so far. And again, I apologize for the delay since the last chapters, but things should be moving back at a regular speed going forward. 2, 3, 4 chapters a week of each book is my plan. Jeremy's actually about to start on his novelization of Jason Goes to Hell, and Adam Marcus is actually going to help him with anything he needs, any information, script questions, things like that. For anybody that doesn't know, Adam Marcus wrote and directed Jason Goes to Hell. So I'm really excited about that. It's kind of a little collaboration. Some of my story ideas are going to pop in. Original story ideas for Jason Goes to Hell are going to be used. Really excited about that. Yeah. So until next time, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for your patience. Be excellent to each other. And always remember, the sun never sets on those who ride into it. Good night, everybody.